Hello, and welcome to the Lost Pines Workshop. I'm J.C. Jensen. This will be episode 6 of the Beginning Woodworking series. So in episode 5, we discussed some tools to get started. You want to work on some projects, you want to get started in woodworking. I gave you a short list of some hand power tools that'll get you on your way. But today we're going to talk about the number one tool that if you want to be a woodworker, you really must have, and that's a table saw. Table saws are probably the most versatile machine you can have in a wood shop. Obviously, it's meant to saw or cut wood, and it's really, really good at it. Table saws were originally created to rip lumber, and by rip it I mean cut with the grain. So if I wanted to take this piece and either rip it in half or any other dimension, I would set the fence, which is parallel to the blade, at the desired distance away from the blade, lock it in place, kick on the saw, kick on my dust collection, and feed the material through the saw, through the blade, to rip that down to the dimension that's required. But it's also much more versatile than that. Utilizing a sled, which this is one I use quite often. This is just a 24-inch sled that slides through 2 tracks in the table saw top that keeps it parallel to the blade. Well, the back of the fence, as this is built, is perfectly 90 degrees to the blade. So if I want to make a square crosscut, I simply lay it on the sled at the desired mark for cutting, and I pass it past the blade, cuts it off. But it can also do angles or miters. We can cut miters with it at any particular angle we want. We can, simply create another jig or set blocks inside of the sled that are going to hold our material at the desired angle, pass it through the blade. In my joinery video, I explained several types of joints that are often used. Here is one, a box joint. So this is a drawer, replacement drawer for a friend of mine's kitchen, and I need to make box joints. Well, this can very easily be done on a table saw. Very, very useful. Many of the other joints as well. A lot of what we do as woodworkers is figuring out how to manipulate our material, how we can properly hold it in place to cut it. So you're going to spend an awful lot of time as a woodworker building jigs, and jigs are fixtures that enable us to hold our material to be cut or shaped into their particular form. So with that, let's take a look at some table saws, and we'll talk about some of their pros and cons, because they come in all shapes and sizes, many manufacturers, and I'm going to show you a few, and we'll talk about them, and then potentially help you make a decision as to where you want to start in your journey as a woodworker utilizing a table saw. So before we begin, let me reiterate, as I have before, I am not promoting any particular brand. For these next few slides, I've randomly selected some images so that we could have something to talk about. So starting off, we have the small project contractor table saw. These are quite small, they are portable, easy to move around within your shop or throw in the back of your truck and take to a job site. Downside of these is your limited size of material which you can cut, and the limited thickness that you can cut because of both the size of the blade and the horsepower of the motor. So each of these first three, the top left, top right, these are the types that are easily portable. Like I said, you can move them around, you can store them in a cabinet, pull them out when you need them, what have you. In the lower left, it's the same type of saw, but it's mounted on a stationary base. The other thing that I'm not real fond of with these is their stability. One of the things with a table saw that I prefer is that it has a very stable platform. So when we're working on there, we minimize our vibration and have maximum control of the workpiece as we push it through and past the blade. In the lower right corner, this is an image of a workbench that somebody has taken and incorporated the table saw into, which makes it very stable, but also gives you more surface area in which to work your material. So these are the medium-sized contractor table saw. I'll call them medium-sized. You'll notice that there's more surface area on the tabletops. They all have a rigid base, one of which has a built-in set of casters, so it makes it mobile. You can buy or fabricate mobile bases for the other two as well. So if you're working in your garage, you can push it out of the way to perhaps put your car in there at night. But again, these are they're more rigid, they're more stable than the previous saws that I showed you. The blades tend to come in sizes that are a little larger than the previous saws I showed you, and they come with a bit more power. These are contractor saws. This is actually the style of saw that I worked with for many years, and it's capable of producing some really good cuts. So these are large cabinet table saws. They're cabinets in that all of the working mechanism, with the exception of the cutting portion of the blade, is enclosed inside of the cabinet underneath. You'll notice these are much more robust machines. The tabletop surface area is cast iron, much larger than your contractor saws, and these often come with extension tables to the right side. There are some that have options for an extension tables on the left side. Very heavy. The Powermatic weighs in at around 500 pounds. It has a cast iron cabinet. The Jet and the SawStop have steel cabinets. They're a little bit lighter, here and there. Casters are available. The Powermatic has caster wheels underneath so that the saw can be moved when necessary. They are hidden. The saw stops are externally mounted, as you see there. Again, that's so you can move the saw when you need to. The Jet, on the other hand, I'm not sure if it has casters or if you have to buy a mobile base for it. Not always necessary. I appreciate casters because I do need to move the machine from time to time, and as you'll learn as a woodworker, your shop is ever growing, and sometimes you just need to move things around. Power, the blade sizes, let me jump on that first. So blade sizes for your cabinets table saws are generally 10 or 12 inches, either or. The horsepower in these is either 3 or 5 horsepower. Those are options, much greater than what's available in your contractor saws. Very robust machines, utilized in heavy, it's for heavy use. Shops that are cutting all the time. There's not a day that goes by that my table saw is not turned on. As I explained earlier, very useful for making rip cuts, cross cuts, angles, joinery. Just an extremely versatile machine. Gotta have one. I love it. Now, as I said, I'm not promoting any particular brand. I've worked with primarily Powermatic and SawStop. If you're interested in getting a cabinet table saw, it's going to set you back some money.
These typically start at about the $4,000 range and go up from there. I would encourage you to look at SawStop. Watch their videos on safety. It has a brake mechanism inside that will prevent you from being cut should you make a boo-boo and stick your hand in there. You will save your fingers with that. I don't use one because the way that mechanism operates, the wood that you pass through a SawStop table saw must be completely dry. You cannot cut green, wet wood with it. I tend to do that on occasion, so I do not have one. But it is a great device. Safety in mind, that's a good saw. So that kind of gives you a look at the three different types.
So there's three different styles of table saws. You've got your portables, your contractor saws, and your cabinet saws. If you really want to increase your capabilities and capacities as a woodworker, I highly suggest you look at getting a table saw. It's the number one tool in my shop. I have a wide selection of tools in here that I have grown over the years, but my number one go-to use everyday tool is my table saw. So I hope this video helps. Please make sure to check out the folks that I support and perhaps support me down below in the description. Be sure to remember to hit the like button and think about subscribing. We'd like to see you. We'll see you down the road.